Hey guys, there's a huge problem with the way you guys are using utility that we have been noticing in the free VOD reviews that we have in our Discord server. A lot of times, you guys are just using your utility without truly understanding why you are using it. Since utility is such an important part of the game, we are going to fix this issue right here, right now, with some advanced tips on how to get the most out of your utility. So think about this. We are trying to take mid, but there's an AWPer holding it. Well guys, we can use utility here to either block the line of sight of this AWPer with some type of smoke, or we can recon, molly, or blind to get him off of the angle, forcing the AWPer to reposition. This is why we need to understand good utility usage. It makes the game 100 times easier. And if you're struggling to rank up, consider how well you can win your gunfights, obviously, but also how well you use your utility to help you in the game. Understanding the purpose behind the usage of your utility will help you, because utility isn't meant to be thrown out randomly and then watch what happens without benefit. Every piece of utility serves a purpose that you need to take advantage of. There is vision denial, info gain, utility that holds space, and utility that gets kills. Let's take Killjoy's alarm bot as an example. This piece of utility is meant to hold space on its own. For an example, you can think of Garage on Haven. Still, you see players sitting on top of the alarm bot all the time, when they could instead play somewhere else and have much more of an impact. Another example is getting info that an area is clear with a silver dart or a sky flash, but still not doing anything about the information we just got. If I play silver here and dart A main and get info that it's clear, I don't need to stay on site and jiggle peek the area that I just cleared entirely. I can either rotate fast or push forward to apply pressure and potentially flank. Also understand this. Not all utility is good for every situation. For example, as an attacker, if we were peeking A long while not overexposing ourselves to sewer, many of you may think flashing this angle is good. But in reality, this would be bad since they can just tuck back into cover in order to dodge our flash and then re-swing after the flash has popped. For this scenario, it would be best to molly the angle that the defender is holding since the defender is not in a flash zone. So, summed up, using utility with a purpose means that behind every piece of utility you use, you have a plan to either take space, flank, rotate, or take a fight. The number one rule when it comes to using utility is that you want to avoid doing things that utility could have made easier for you. Examples of these are peeking an angle that an op could be holding, taking dangerous space dry without any utility usage, pushing onto site without any initiator utility, or re-engaging a fight dryly when you could have flashed. These are all situations that you are not using utility enough in. When you are using utility, you also need to know if you're using the right piece of utility. A good rule of thumb is if an enemy is in an open space, we should use pop flashes or recon utility. But if an enemy is close to cover, we should use blinds, mollies, or any dog utility. On the other hand, you need to recognize spots in which you just need your gun out and fight. An example for this would be when you and a teammate plan on taking a fight, and instead of going for the trade, you try to throw a molly or a shock dart. Another example of this is when you're in the open and think, oh, I have a recon dart, let me throw it, just to be peeked in that moment and then die. Finding the balance between utility and gunplay also comes with experience. A good rule to follow in order to prevent deaths with util in your hand is to not overcomplicate things. Whenever you are exposed to danger, have your gun out, not your utility. Another extremely important factor is timing. Don't use your utility too early, but also don't use it too late. Timing utility is about understanding when your abilities have the maximum impact. If the enemy makes one step and immediately you throw out a smoke, molly, or put up your wall, then you're wasting your utility by using it too early. On the other hand, if you get caught with a molly in your hand while Jet is already dashing onto the site, then you're using your utility too late. A raise nade is a great example for this importance of timing. If thrown too early, it's easily dodged, but if thrown perfectly into the choke point that enemies just push into, it can be devastating. Same thing on attack. You can smoke, dart, dog, and flash too early or too late. Good timing means that your teammates and yourself are in a position to capitalize off of the utility, and it will give them the maximum effect while the enemy is under maximum pressure from the utility and your team. If your Skydog is on a solo mission entering sight, the enemy can comfortably destroy it without anyone being there to punish it. And if this happens, you're using the Skydog wrong. Think about what needs to be done. Whether you're an attacker or defender, you need to be playing around the objective and using your utility to achieve the objective. Again, use the rules and scenarios we have mentioned earlier to apply this. The last thing you need to understand is that you cannot do things alone. If you are Jett and you have a Sova on your team, ask your Sova to recon where you think an enemy is. Then smoke and dash so you can spray the enemy through your smoke as they are being scanned. Or if you are a Raze and you have a Fade or Sky, you can ask either of them to Prowler, Dog, or Seize where an enemy is, and you can follow up with that utility by throwing your grenade. Work with your teammates so you don't have to use all of your kit by yourself, so you can have maximum impact with the utility that Valorant has to offer. Now, once you have mastered your utility usage, you're going to need some cracked aim. So check out our Irradiant Pro Fix My Aim video next. See you there, everyone.